It's often thought that achieving a billion-dollar fortune requires superhuman intelligence or privileged access to mystical Wall Street secrets. However, after nearly a century of observing human behavior, I've concluded that wealth isn't about what you do, but what you don't do. You don't need to be a brilliant genius to succeed. You simply need to be a little less stupid than everyone else, consistently, over a very long period. If you can avoid the colossal mistakes that destroy even the smartest people, financial success will come to you almost inevitably through a simple process of elimination. Most people spend their lives searching for the perfect lottery ticket, the magic trick that will make them rich overnight, or the precise moment to enter the market. That desire for instant gratification is, in reality, the biggest obstacle you face on your path to true financial freedom. The world is full of brilliant people who are now broke because they couldn't control their impulses or follow a basic checklist of financial sanity. My fortune wasn't built on bold predictions, but on ironclad discipline to avoid the traps that everyone else falls into with astonishing regularity. The first catastrophic mistake you must eliminate is trying to learn solely from your own errors instead of using the scars of others as your best guide. Life is too short and capital too scarce for you to pretend to make every financial mistake on your own so you can learn the lesson. I've spent 60 years obsessively reading, not sugar-coated success stories, but reports of bankruptcies, corporate frauds, and historic market crashes. Ma, studying the failures of others allows you to compress centuries of experience into a few years of reading, giving you an unfair advantage over those who operate blindly. If you study the South Sea bubble of 1720 or the dot-com bubble of 2000, you'll notice that the patterns of human folly repeat themselves with mathematical precision. People think this time is different because the technology has changed, but the psychology of greed and fear remains exactly the same as it has been for centuries. Studying the Great Depression taught me the most important lesson of all. Never use leverage to buy volatile assets, because the market can be irrational longer than you can remain solvent. Don't repeat what has already ruined thousands of people before you. Read their stories and avoid their pitfalls. The second mistake that destroys wealth is buying things you don't fully understand, simply because everyone else seems to be making money with them. My rule is absolute. If I can't explain how a business generates cash in 3 simple sentences, I don't put a single dollar into it, no matter how promising it seems. People will research for hours to buy a $50 toaster, but they'll throw $10,000 at a cryptocurrency or a tech company without understanding even 1% of how it works. I'd rather miss out on a chance to earn 100% than risk losing 100% of my capital on something that's basically a black box to me. If your investment thesis hinges on some old fool buying your asset at a higher price, later, you're not investing, you're gambling with the odds stacked against you. A true investor understands where the profit comes from. Does the company sell a necessary product? Does it have lasting competitive advantages? Is its cash flow real and growing? If you need a whiteboard and 15 minutes to explain why an investment has value, it's probably garbage wrapped in unnecessary complexity. Stay within your circle of competence. No matter how small that circle is, what matters is that you know its boundaries with surgical precision. The third trap is haste, the desire to be rich by next Thursday, ignoring that compound interest requires time to work its most potent magic. I've built my wealth over 6 decades, not 6 months, and that's the only way wealth becomes solid and truly unassailable. Real money isn't made by frantically buying and selling, but by sitting back and waiting, allowing time to do the heavy lifting while you remain still. Most investors can't sit still. They see someone making quick money on a fad and panic, abandoning their tried and tested strategy for an uncertain gamble. Trading is, in most cases, a slow, bleed-out process of paying off through commissions, taxes, and poor emotional decisions made under pressure. A modest 20% annual return might seem boring, but if you maintain it for decades, that percentage transforms small amounts into legendary fortunes that change family histories. You don't need to hit home runs or find the next tech unicorn. You just need to avoid strikeouts and keep hitting singles with boring consistency. If your ego demands that you be the center of attention at parties because of spectacular gains, you'll more likely end up being the center of attention for spectacular losses. The fourth mistake is the false belief that extreme diversification is a sign of intelligence, when it's often just a safeguard against utter ignorance. Wall Street loves to sell you the idea that you should own 50 or 100 different stocks to be safe, charging you fees at every step of the process. However, if you truly understand what you're doing, holding so many positions only guarantees mediocre returns and an inability to properly monitor any of them. Diversifying this much is like having 50 wives. You can't get to know any of them deeply, and the end result is usually administrative and emotional chaos. It's far better to concentrate your capital in a few outstanding opportunities that you fully understand and that have a wide margin of safety. At Berkshire, we've had times when the majority of our wealth was concentrated in just a handful of excellent businesses that we knew inside and out. If you identify 6 wonderful businesses over the course of your lifetime, that's all the diversification you'll need to become immensely wealthy without taking unnecessary risks. Owning 10 names that you've thoroughly researched is infinitely safer than owning 100 names for which you only know the stock symbol on a screen. The fifth mistake is allowing fees and taxes to act like silent parasites, devouring your wealth before it can even grow. A 1% annual fee may seem insignificant, but over 30 years, that small percentage can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost profits. Every time you sell a stock for a small profit, the government takes a cut, reducing the capital you have available to continue growing. Warren and I have held positions for 50 years precisely to avoid the tax toll and allow money to work without government interference. Many people boast about their annual earnings, but never calculate how much of that money ended up in the hands of their broker or the taxman due to their frenetic activity. Tax efficiency is one of the most powerful and least discussed tools billionaires have to accelerate capital accumulation legally and ethically. Don't work for the system. Make the system work for you by buying quality assets and holding them until the investment thesis changes radically. Intelligent inactivity is often the most profitable strategy, even if it's the hardest sell for those who live off transaction commissions. The sixth mistake, and perhaps the most human of all, is allowing emotions to dictate your financial decisions during times of high stress. The market isn't a logical entity. It's a madhouse where patients decide the price of things based on their morning mood. If you let the panic of a market crash or the euphoria of a bubble dictate your actions, you're doomed to buy high and sell low. Your character is far more important than your IQ in the world of investing. You need a cool head to act when others are trembling with fear. In March 2020, when the world seemed to be ending, most investors sold everything at the worst possible time, locking in their losses permanently. At Berkshire, we simply sat back and watched, knowing that crises are temporary, but great businesses are permanent in their ability to create value. Similarly, in 2021, when the allure of easy money was at its peak, we held on to cash while being called old-fashioned. The ability to do nothing when there is nothing smart to do is one of the rarest and highest paid skills in the world of finance. The seventh and final mistake is the habit of giving up too soon, just before the compound interest curve begins its vertical growth phase. The first 10 or 15 years of investing are often frustrating because progress seems linear and slow, almost imperceptible compared to the effort expended. Many get bored or discouraged during this desert stage and abandon the plan, returning to their old spending habits or risky betting practices. And they don't understand that real money is made in the last 10 years of a 40-year plan, not the first 5, so persistence is the critical factor. I didn't become truly wealthy until after I turned 50, and I didn't become a billionaire until after 70, despite having started decades earlier. Success is a marathon where the grand prize is reserved for those with the maturity to stay the course without seeking non-existent shortcuts. If you change your strategy every 2 years, chasing the latest trend, you'll never allow any seed to take root deep enough to bear fruit. Choose a proven method, whether it's index funds or value investing, and stick to it with the stubbornness of an ox for at least 3 decades. Most of the people you see today flaunting their quick riches on social media won't be here in 5 years, victims of their own recklessness and lack of method. Lasting wealth is quiet, it's boring, and it's the result of a methodical accumulation process that doesn't seek the applause of the crowd. By avoiding these 7 mistakes, you automatically put yourself ahead of the 95% of the population who prefer the illusion of quick success to the reality of slow prosperity. Don't try to be brilliant. Just avoid being foolish, be patient, and let the world reward you for your wisdom and unwavering discipline. Whenever you're tempted to do something exciting with your money, remember that the best investments are those that allow you to sleep soundly at night. Peace of mind is the highest dividend you can receive, and it's only achieved when you know your finances are built on sound principles, not wishful thinking. You don't need to predict the future to win. You just need to be prepared for any possible future by having a solid foundation and ample room for safety. Rationality is your greatest asset, and protecting it from your own basic instincts is the most important task you have as the architect of your own destiny. Observe how others destroy themselves with leverage, envy, and impatience, and use those examples as stark warnings of what you should never do. Envy is a foolish sin because it's the only one that offers no enjoyment. It only leads you to make irrational decisions based on what your neighbor possesses. Focus on your own process, your own checklist, and your own circle of competence, ignoring the noise of the outside world that tries to distract you. If you can master your emotions and keep logic as your sole compass, then the path to the top will be clear of significant obstacles. Investing isn't a zero-sum game where one must lose for another to win, but rather a process of participating in the growth of human civilization and its capacity for innovation. By owning shares in productive businesses, you become a beneficiary of human ingenuity and global productivity, which is the safest bet in history. Don't bet against progress. Join it by owning real assets and let humanity's long-term trajectory work in your favor. Pessimism may sound intelligent in the news, but rational optimism is what has built the greatest and most enduring fortunes on the planet. Remember that knowledge grows just like money. The more you learn today, the stronger your foundation is for understanding more complex things tomorrow. Dedicate a portion of your day to serious reading, de-analyzing mental models, and studying economic history to strengthen your critical thinking. Sound judgment is the tool that will allow you to distinguish between a genuine opportunity and a deadly trap disguised as revolutionary innovation. Never stop in your pursuit of wisdom, because in a world of financial blindness, the person with a rational eye is the one who ultimately governs their own future. As your capital grows, the temptation to become complacent or to start taking unnecessary risks will increase in proportion to your success. Maintain the humility of your early days and remember that the market owes you nothing and that economic gravity always prevails over arrogance. Continue reviewing your list of mistakes with the same rigor as when you had nothing, ensuring that each new step is supported by the same logic that brought you here. Wealth is easy to lose if you forget the principles that created it, so remain vigilant and true to the sound judgment that has guided you. At the end of your life, you'll realize that the money you've accumulated is just a tool that has allowed you to live on your own terms and with complete integrity. Financial independence isn't about buying things, but about buying your freedom to say no to what you don't like and yes to what truly matters. Having avoided foolish mistakes will have given you the most valuable gift of all, a life free from the unnecessary anxieties that plague those who live on the edge of recklessness. Enjoy the process, stay the course, and remember that being a rational person in an irrational world is the most lucrative strategy there is. Don't let the complexity of the modern world confuse you. The laws of arithmetic and human nature haven't changed and won't change no matter how much technology advances. Earn more than you spend, invest the surplus in things you understand, and have the patience of a monk while compound interest does its work. If you do this, you will not only become wealthy, but you will become wise, and that wisdom is the true fortune that will last beyond any bank balance. The plan is simple, the execution is the hard part, but the reward is worth every ounce of discipline and every minute of waiting you choose to invest today. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, but it only benefits those who can avoid unnecessarily interrupting it out of fear or greed. Every time you withdraw money from your investment plan for a superfluous expense, you're cutting branches off a tree that hasn't finished growing. Learn to delay gratification, and you'll see how the future rewards you with an abundance you can't even clearly imagine today. Be the guardian of your own capital, and don't let anyone, not even yourself, sabotage the growth process you've worked so hard to begin. The financial education you receive in this video is more valuable than a university degree if you decide to apply it rigorously and honestly in your daily life from now on. Don't look for secrets elsewhere. The principles are here, they have been tested for decades, and they have created some of the most stable fortunes in the modern world. Your task is simply to follow them, avoid the 7 pitfalls mentioned, and maintain faith in the logical process you have chosen to embrace. Success is not an accident, it is a deliberate construction based on the systematic elimination of foolishness and the persistent cultivation of reason. Look around you and see how many people are trapped in the rat race simply because they can't avoid making these mistakes over and over again. You now have the map to break free from that cycle and enter the realm of economic sovereignty and lasting peace of mind. Don't underestimate the simplicity of these rules. Their power lies precisely in their simplicity, which is the ultimate sophistication in a world that loves sterile complication. Get to work, clean up your portfolio of dubious investments, and start your journey to a prosperity that nothing and no one can take away from you today. Integrity in your business and personal life is a silent multiplier of your wealth, as people prefer to entrust their money to those with clear principles. Don't sacrifice your reputation for a quick profit, because a tarnished reputation is a liability that will haunt you and close doors in the future. Be a person of your word, honor your commitments, and maintain impeccable ethical conduct in every transaction you make, no matter how small. Ultimately, trust is the most valuable currency in the market, and those who possess it have access to the best investment and collaboration opportunities. Every dollar you save and allocate wisely is a step toward absolute freedom, where your time belongs to no one but yourself and your loved ones. Don't see saving as a deprivation, but as buying your future freedom at the discounted price the market offers you today. Today's discipline is tomorrow's freedom, and it's a deal any rational mind would accept without hesitation. Keep building your fortress, brick by brick, and don't stop until the wall is high enough to protect your dreams from any economic storm. Intellectual humility will allow you to recognize when you've made a mistake and change your mind before it becomes a financial catastrophe. Don't become wedded to your investments or your ideas. If the facts change, you must change with them, always keeping your loyalty to the truth above your ego. Being able to admit "I was wrong" is one of the clearest signs of a mature investor with a high probability of long-term success. Protect your capital from your own pride, and you'll see your wealth grow much more healthily and predictably through market cycles. Learn to distinguish between price and value. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get, and the gap between the two is where your real profit lies. The market often puts ridiculous prices on valuable things out of sheer fear, and that's where you must act with the courage that comes from deep knowledge. Likewise, the market puts astronomical prices on worthless junk out of sheer euphoria, and that's where you must have the wisdom to walk away and protect your cash. That dance between price and value is the core of all smart investing and the foundation upon which we have built our fortune at Berkshire. And don't be seduced by the technical and complex language of experts who try to hide their lack of results behind bombastic words and complicated charts. True financial wisdom is clear, straightforward, and can be understood by anyone with a little common sense and patience. If someone can't explain their strategy simply, it's probably because they don't know what they're doing or are trying to deceive you for their own gain. Trust your own analytical skills based on Munger's principles, and don't blindly delegate your financial future to self-serving third parties. Financial resilience is built by always having a safety margin in everything you do, from your personal emergency fund to the valuation of the stocks you buy. Never operate at the limit of your means. Always leave room for the unexpected, for miscalculations, or for the bad luck that sometimes strikes everyone. That safety margin is what allows you to sleep at night and what gives you the ability to withstand the pressure when the world seems to be going crazy around you. It's better to be roughly correct and safe than to be precisely exact and end up ruined by a variable you couldn't foresee in time. Observe long-term trends and don't get lost in the noise of daily news stories that only seek to generate clicks and unnecessary anxiety. Most of what you hear today will be irrelevant in 5 years, so don't let media hype affect your long-term investment strategy. Keep your eye on the horizon and continue doing what works, ignoring the siren songs of those who promise spectacular results without effort or risk. Consistency in applying sound principles is what separates true wealth builders from mere financial tourists who pass through the market. Curiosity about how the world truly works will give you a tremendous competitive advantage, since most people live on the surface of appearances and biases. Investigate the underlying causes of economic events, understand the incentives of the players involved, and always seek objective truth above popular narratives. This depth of analysis will allow you to see investment opportunities that others overlook and avoid dangers that others don't even suspect exist. Be a perpetual student of reality, and you'll see how your judgment becomes increasingly sharp and your decisions increasingly accurate and profitable. Avoid complacency when things are going well, because it's in moments of success that the seeds of future failures are sown due to a lack of vigilance and rigor. Maintain the same saving discipline and the same care in selecting assets, whether you have $1,000 or $1 million in your bank account. Risk management should be an integral part of your character, not something you only apply when you're afraid or when things get tough in the market. Consistent prudence is the best guarantee that you will preserve and grow what you have worked so hard to earn over the years. Surround yourself with rational and honest people who challenge your ideas and force you to think more deeply, avoiding flatterers and those who are only looking out for their own interests. Your environment influences your ability to maintain discipline, so choose your friends, partners, and sources of daily financial information carefully. A good thinker, like Warren Buffett has been for me, is an invaluable asset who helps you avoid mistakes and exponentially amplify your successes. Seek constructive criticism and value brutal honesty over the comfort of always agreeing with those around you. True wealth allows you to be more generous with others, but that generosity must also be rational to truly have a positive and lasting impact on society. Use your success to support causes that promote education, rationality, and human well-being based on facts and tangible, measurable, long-term results. By becoming a pillar of economic stability, you have the responsibility and the privilege of contributing to making the world a slightly more sensible and prosperous place. Let your fortune be a tool for good, managed with the same intelligence with which it was created through decades of effort and unwavering discipline. Never underestimate the power of inertia, for better or for worse. Make sure your financial habits are aligned with your long-term goals starting today. If you establish automatic savings and investment systems, inertia will work in your favor, building your wealth almost invisibly while you focus on other areas of your life. Conversely, if you allow bad spending habits to take hold, inertia will pull you into a spiral of debt and worry that will become increasingly difficult to break over time. Take control of your habits today and put the power of inertia to work for your own freedom and future prosperity. Patience isn't simply waiting, but maintaining a positive attitude and discipline while working toward something you know will take years or decades to bear fruit. It's the ability to see the forest for the trees, understanding that every small step is necessary to reach the ultimate goal you've clearly set for yourself. Don't let youthful impatience or social pressure lead you to abandon the path of reason for an empty promise of speed and absolute ease. What is truly worthwhile requires time, effort, and an unwavering will to persevere despite difficulties and the apparent slowness of progress. At the end of the day, investing is an exercise in self-knowledge and self-mastery, much more than an exercise in financial analysis or predicting complex markets. If you manage to conquer your fears, your envy, and your greedy impulses, you will have won the most important battle of all on the road to financial success. The market is merely a mirror reflecting your virtues and character flaws with brutal clarity, often at a very high cost in real money. Work on yourself, cultivate your reason, and you will see how your finances follow the same path of order, growth, and success that you have established within yourself. Keep your life simple enough so you can dedicate your mental energy to the things that truly drive your progress and personal happiness. Don't complicate things with luxuries that require your time to maintain or social commitments that don't contribute to your long-term vision for life and wealth. Simplicity brings clarity, and clarity empowers you to act decisively when genuine opportunities arise. Be a minimalist in the superficial aspects so you can be a maximalist in the essential ones: your family, your investments, your health, and your continuous intellectual learning. This 7-rule plan isn't a suggestion. It's the code of conduct for those who have built financial empires that withstand the test of time and even the deepest crises. Don't look for exceptions or try to outsmart the laws of arithmetic. Simply obey logic and let the world reward you. You've received a lesson today worth millions of dollars if you have the courage to apply it with the rigor and persistence that Charlie Munger demonstrated throughout his life. Success awaits you at the end of the road of rationality, patience, and extreme discipline. Don't stop until you reach the finish line. Let wisdom be your constant guide. Patience your shield against market madness, and compound interest the tireless engine of your ultimate freedom. You have chosen not to fall prey to common financial traps and to become the conscious architect of your own lasting prosperity and well-being. Forge ahead with your plan, remain calm in the storm and humble in victory, and you will see the future unfold before you with an abundance known only to the rational. The summit is clear for those who walk with a firm step and a clear mind toward their destiny of greatness and absolute financial freedom. Finally, remember that time is your most precious ally. Don't waste it on trivial distractions and start applying these rules today with all your determination and personal focus. Every day that passes without you applying rationality to your finances is a lost opportunity to put compound interest to work for your own benefit and that of your loved ones. Don't wait for the market to be perfect or for you to have more money. Start with what you have, where you are, and don't look back with regret, but forward with vision. 2026 and the following decades will be the stage for your success if you decide today to be a faithful follower of Charlie Munger's teachings.